And anything I have to say at this point pales in comparison to the depth of understanding that you heard from Sonia and Alana. But I did want to take this opportunity to sing a song to our confirmands. I don't usually do this, and I'm a little nervous myself, but this song just came to mind as I thought of the two of you, and please reserve judgment until I can explain. You shall not commit adultery, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not commit adultery. So what does this commandment mean to me? All right, that's enough. So when Sonny and Alana were thinking of ways that they could express their faith, one of the songs that we learned in confirmation class was this song about how to remember the seventh commandment, you shall not commit adultery. And they said, well, maybe we could just do, as you can tell from the tune, the adultery tango for all of you. I said, that would be interesting, but probably not detailed enough to really express what you believe about God and Jesus, although it would have been very entertaining. You'll notice that I just sung. I did not dance the tango as well because, well, I didn't have a partner. But as I thought about this song and the time that we had together in confirmation class, I was reminded immediately of that passage in Exodus where God says that those who follow God's commandments will be blessed down to the 1,000th generation of those that love me, God says. To the 1,000th generation of those that love me. We understand clearly that Sonia and Alana didn't get to this day on their own, as they said themselves in their sermon. That it was because of the love, the concern, the constant attention of parents, Barbara and Paul, Donna and Roger, of greater family members who continue to inspire them in the faith, and of a congregation that became for them a real faith family. You guys know what it means to be blessed. I was thinking of you when I heard the song. Because there was that one line in the psalm that I said, well, this definitely describes Sonia and Alana. Come now, regard the works of the Lord. As you were about to give your sermon, I thought, well, that's a perfect example of two young people who are God's work, and we know that God does all things well. The next line, however, says, what desolations God has brought upon the earth. And I thought, well, sometimes probably desolations isn't a good description of your daughters, especially as they move more into their teenage years. Sometimes it's probably a perfect description of your rooms, I would guess. But those are not desolations that God has brought upon the earth, but rather that you yourselves have done. Today is such a special day for the two of you. It's not a definition of who you are, because that came to you in your baptisms. It is a redefinition of who you are, a reminder to you and an embracing of the two of you of that definition of who you really are. I'm thinking, of course, of what Jesus says in the gospel for today. You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Finally, what is the truth about the two of you? What is the truth about you, Sonia? The truth about you, Alana? The truth is that you belong to God, that you always did. That's why your parents brought you to the waters of baptism. Because they knew that you were God's child as well as theirs. And they felt that you were as precious to God as you were to them. Today, you redefine that. Remind you of that. You remind yourselves of that yourselves in the words of your affirmation of faith. That you belong to God. And that nothing will ever change that. That's the truth. Don't let anybody put any other definition on you that would take away from this essential definition of who you are. That you are children of God, that you are deeply loved, and that you always, always will be. In the waters of baptism, that was affirmed. Today, you reaffirm that reality of your lives. And whenever you forget, will you come and seek us out so that we can remind you that whatever anybody else says about you, we know the truth about the two of you, that you're God's beautiful work, that God has done something truly special in each one of you. We remember that you are deeply loved. Because as you remember that, especially today, you give all of us permission and a reminder that we stand in the same place. That no matter what our age, what our past, what brought us here today, the challenges that we have faced as God's people, the difficulties that we have overcome, no one can change that essential definition of you. That is the truth. That you are deeply beloved by God. that you, each of you, is precious to God. That God holds you deeply in God's heart. As we see Sonia and Alana affirming their faith today, we realize that it's our faith too. It's what we struggle to believe on a daily basis, what we come to worship to be reminded of. That God knows you, every hair on your head, every thought in your heart, every feeling that takes you, God knows. And God seeks to redeem and love and accept you as God has already done in the waters of baptism. Try as we might, we can't shake off the Holy Spirit. We can put her in a cage now and then or pretend that she never did anything. But the thing about trying to do that is that the wings continue to beat against the bars and remind us. Remind us of who we are. Remind us of that essential truth of our lives that we are then free to build upon in loving and gracious ways. So thank you to the two of you for reminding us of that reality, for bringing us this good news, and for affirming not just your faith, but ours as well. May God continue to bless you on this wonderful journey, that you may walk lightly and gracefully as children of God. Amen.